Hello everybody. So in my last video I talked a little bit about how toxic mold and homelessness really shaped my identity and even caused me to lose, I guess, a bit of my identity. And just sort of how I've had to rediscover my identity and find it again. I really want my coffee, so I hope it's okay. In my last video I was like it's super clanky, so maybe I'll just pause the video anytime I want to drink it, but maybe I don't care. It's not as clanky because the ice is a little bit melted, so it's better. But anyway. But today I really wanted to talk more about how I touched on this a little bit, but I want to talk about a little bit how I tried to compare myself a lot, or in the beginning of healing and trying to rediscover myself again, I compared myself a lot to my past self, which is younger. That's how math works. That's how age works. Anyway, I compared myself a lot in the beginning to the me that made decisions for myself in the past. The past me that had opinions about things. The past me that knew herself, even though I didn't back then. And I had to find out a lot of this during that time as well, because I wanted to find myself, and in doing that I thought that surely there's an answer here, surely I can find out who I am. Surely the answers are already within me. And whenever I would try to ask myself, like, well, what do I like? Who am I as a person? The first, I think, answers that came to my mind were answers that I had known about myself previously. Like, I know myself. I used to really like pink, and I was really into Myers-Briggs, and I really was also into astrology, but I have since removed myself from that. I was an astrologer in a past life. I was an astrologer, and I've completely removed myself now from that way of living. But I was comparing myself to that person, and this person who, did have, I guess, her own opinions, but she formed them around other people. And that was me 10 years ago. I was comparing myself to this me that was, a decade or so ago, to the 16-year-old me, because that was the last time I could remember not being in survival mode, not being rock bottom depressed, not having to fight for my life and fight for safety and healing. It's kind of wild. And obviously through those experiences, I've grown. Of course I'm going to grow within a decade, but I've grown in such a way that nobody could have ever predicted, because so many things happened to me that nobody could have ever predicted. Drastic changes have happened in my life that have helped me grow as a person. And yet that was my default, is to go back to before any of this had ever happened. And who was I then? Until I started to realize that just didn't feel right within me. The answers that I was coming up with that I still thought were the right answer because that's who I was then, We're not the right answer. There is no right answer into who you are as a person. I have to find that today. Who I am isn't this thing that I can delve into. It's not this this storage box full of information that I can pull out of a hat, even though it feels that way. It feels like anyway, at the time, it felt like I was trying to reach into this storage box of information labeled me, you know? And trying to find out what that was. You know, it was wild. But in reality, finding yourself is a process of moving forward. There is no, records. There's records of your past, but there's no records of what you like today, who you are today. That's something you have to create. You have to create that. And that was a concept that I really didn't understand yet when I was trying to newly find myself after all of that trauma. And comparing myself to that person also made me realize that the person that I was then wasn't even based on who I really was as a person, if that makes sense. Like when I was 16, not that anybody should compare themselves to their 16-year-old self, but that was my default at the time of like, I really thought that would somehow help me find who I am today. Like, see, I'm still kind of the same person. I still have the same interests and still have the same beliefs and values to a degree. I don't have to do the hard work about who I am today. I don't have to go and do all of this soul searching. It's already here. That's what I was hoping, I think, in my mind. Going back to this previous self. But at the end of the day, that's something that I have to find every day. I think we all do. Anyway, I think that's all I'll say about it. Bye-bye.